Hi, my name is ILENE. I'm an executive recruiter and a job search strategist with Pounding Pavement 101. Today's video is extremely special, and it's for all of you job seekers out there in order to protect yourselves. A very courageous, very wonderful woman has agreed to share her story about how she was a victim of a job scam. And she has come forward to tell her story to protect all of you. So please watch this video, learn from it, protect yourselves from any job scams, and good luck on your job search. Hi, my name is ILENE from Pounding Pavement 101. I am here today with who's going to tell her story. This is incredibly important for every job seeker out there. You need to listen to her story. We met based on a post that I did about job scams. Had made a comment on my post, and she is gracious enough to share her story to protect all of you out there. So welcome.
Thank you.
So we met and you're willing to come on and tell your story. Please tell what happened to you. How were you contacted about a job?
I had my resume posted on LinkedIn, and then I was contacted. I had applied to this company because I found I researched the company. It was a real company. Um, then I got contacted for an interview,
Was it a
and
phone interview or just
it was through
over
email,
text?
and it was over text. In fact, it was on Microsoft Teams.
Okay. So you
Okay.
saw a real person.
No, it's
Okay.
strictly text.
Okay.
Okay. And then initially I was contacted on my phone by text, giving me the link for the Microsoft Teams meeting.
Okay.
Um, then I went through everything. Uh, I went answered all the questions and all that, and then I received an email from the person that said that they were from the company I had applied for, and I researched the person's name. That person exists in the company on the company's website.
Okay. So you did your due diligence. You checked out
Yes,
the company, you checked out the person.
right.
Okay. So
I
what
thought,
happened?
I thought, come to find out, well, they had required information from me to do a background check.
Mhm.
So I had to submit my driver's license and my social security number, which I did.
So you shared your social security number with them.
Yes, because they needed it to do the background check
Okay. Now there's no offer on the table as of yet.
as of yet.
Okay. So they were asking for personal information before even there was an offer. And, as an honest person, you just gave the information thinking that this is just part of the process.
Right. Because I went through
Okay.
this similar thing with my current job, which
Mm-hmm.
I do work from home with.
Okay.
And but then I started they asked for my bank information. That's when I put a kibosh on things.
Okay.
I realized that the email that I had been given to submit my information to was one letter off from the company and from the company website. And I didn't
So,
realize it.
so you even checked the email address to
Yeah.
see if it was coming from the company, but it was one letter off.
Yes.
I'm emphasizing that so this way
Yes.
everyone knows, check every individual letter because we're very quick to just glance at something and
And
say,
that's exactly
okay,
what I did.
yeah,
That's exactly what I did. And then when I contacted ITRC, I mean IT, yeah, ITRC,
and what is
Victim
ITRC
Services.
for our viewers?
They are a victim services for people with identity theft.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
They help people who have been had their identity stolen, and they also help people who think their identity may have been stolen. They
Okay,
help
so
both sides. And what they do is they tell the people the steps to take to try to protect themselves.
right.
And which I did, which means putting a block on your credit reporting agencies, getting a new driver's license, because not only do they have if you gave them the back of the driver's license, they've got the barcode.
And this is not something that you would even think of.
Exactly.
They ask for a
Exactly.
driver's license, you're applying for a job.
Right.
So,
And they got my
okay.
social security number. So when I contacted ITRC, they told me to go to Social Security, create an account to help keep an eye on things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in case somebody tried to steal my social security number. All right. Um, and because I didn't, even though I didn't give my banking information out, they told me to contact my bank and make it so that I had to give a verbal password,
Okay.
not just the three questions, for privacy and security, but a verbal password.
And I'm going to jump in here because many, many times I see posts on social media where people are just having fun and they say, what was the make of your first car? What
Mm-hmm.
was the street that you grew up on? And what they don't realize, they're having fun and giving that information, but that's security question information
Yes.
for bank accounts,
Yes.
for other accounts,
And
and you
I deal
have to
with that.
be careful with
Yeah,
that.
I deal with that every time. And I have members of of the bank that I work for
Mm-hmm.
scream and yell at me because their account has been blocked because they can't get into their account because they can't pass authentication.
Well, and then here it is. This is exactly why there's that
Right.
authentic.
Yesterday I had a call, and he had he admitted to me, he says, listen, I used to scream and yell at USAA because of their protection security measures. But then it happened to me. I am so thankful they have that information. And please block out the company name, please.
You
And
never think it's going to happen to you, and then it does.
exactly. And
So go, keep going.
but when I after I found out, that that company ID or email was off by one letter, that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
When I went to the ITRC website, um, excuse me, and I actually spoke to the people from ITRC on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
They told me what to look for. And when I realized that that email address was not a company email address, I flipped a brick.
I'm sure.
And so they continued and told me what to do. Um, People need to know. They really do. You know. Um, I'm not a person that gets in front of the camera, okay, for obvious reasons. But for this, hell yes, I will.
It's very brave of you to share your story to protect others so it doesn't happen to them.
Yeah, thankfully, I caught it in time and I put the blocking measures in place in time before anything could happen because they could have drained my bank account. And we don't have much in the bank account, you know, it would have devastated us completely. And
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, people don't get their money recovered.
they don't. And yeah, as you said, it doesn't matter if it's $1, it's $1 million. It's still money. And how did you feel after this has happened?
I felt like my life had been ripped out from under me. And I still have instances where I feel like that because of that instance. But
Yeah.
it's it's hard to deal with, you know. And but you got to move on with your life. I mean, I'm not giving up job searching,
No.
because I want to get a job that I want,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, I just hope that this helps people because God forbid something happens to them because of something like this. You got to be vigilant. You've got to be vigilant. And I learned a hard lesson, even though it wasn't financial in that aspect, but it was my life, my
Yeah.
identity. And it's it's nerve-wracking, you know?
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you're sharing your story because I have had job seekers contact me that they've been approached in a similar type scam, a
Uh-huh.
similar type situation. And I've been able, because of the stories that I'm telling from all of these job seekers, they have become vigilant and they have noticed to protect themselves and saying, okay,
Uh-huh.
this just doesn't feel right. Okay. And
And
they contact me and together we've done background checks, or
uh-huh.
at least there's a second pair of eyes on
Right.
everything that I can direct them,
Uh,
or at least they know to be careful.
yeah. Let me see if I can find this text message. Uh, give me a second on here. Oh, I must have deleted it. Oh, wait a minute. Uh, well, I just gotten this one, but I'm pretty sure it's a real one, but I'm not positive because it's for a data entry specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me the link, but if it just, the next date over, but I'm not that far. And also, but it was on site, so that's not quite the one. But there's, oh goodness. Here we go. Here's one of them. You have been invited to a job interview at Worldwide Tech. Kindly check your email spam for further information. Thank you, Jessica. And so I went and I did all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saved a transcript. No, that's the questions that they sent me. Yeah, they sent me an email with for me to answer the following questions below, you know, which was like the normal interview questions. And so I had
Mm-hmm.
to email them back. And then on the was it Zoom? Mhm. No, that's okay. So that wasn't Zoom or Skype. There, Skype is the one. But anyway, they I ended up blocking the person because like on this one from yesterday, not yesterday, but oh goodness, a few days ago, this okay, this conversation I did save. Um, you have a total of 30 minutes for the job briefing, detailed and requirements, a few questionnaires for the interview session part. A swift response is required. and shall we get started?
Mm-hmm.
So they go into the job description and they asked me if I had any problem with it. I had no problem with that. All right, please read carefully. And then this will help you to know more about the job and what it entails. Shall we begin? Once you are done with every line reading, you are to write done. And then it asked me which job I was applying for and which administrative assistant, data entry clerk, customer service. And so I told them. But what got me every single time, except for this last one where my ID was still on.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're asking you to, once you're done with reading every line, you are to write done. I've come
Right.
across this numerous times. Block the person. Just don't
Okay.
go any further. Just block the person because they're not asking. They're not going to ask you to uh, purchase something. They're going to tell you that they're going to be sending you a check via FedEx or UPS to cash to go buy and purchase the equipment. Well, I got smart. And when they started doing that, I was told, I said, as per my bank's instructions, they will not cash a check. In fact, if a check is given to me to deposit, they will hold that check for 30 days to make sure that it will come through. And so I told the person, I said, I am not going to do the check. That's not going to happen. I
Right.
said, my current employer sent me my equipment that I needed, already preloaded with everything. They sent me my equipment, and I can show you that. I'm not afraid of that. Okay. They sent me what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say that they're going to send you a check or to want your bank account to deposit money into, they're not going to do it, or the check is going to bounce and you're going to be out that money and you would have to reimburse the bank for that money.
Also, then they have your bank information.
Exactly.
And yes, I do know of someone else who was scammed and their bank account was cleaned out.
Mm,
So I do know someone in that type of situation. You were smart enough to stop it at that point. So thank God you
yeah.
were protected that way. But yeah, there are other people who, they just figure
Yeah.
that this is the normal process.
Mm. And there are real jobs out there. I've been on one job interview, face to face, Zoom. Okay.
Okay.
And then they said, we'll contact you and let you know either way. Well, I never heard from them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, that's a whole nother
that'll,
story. And we'll do another video on
right.
that. And recruiters that don't respond, because look, I am an executive recruiter and a job search strategist. And it bothers me that recruiters are not respectful to the candidates at all times, because
At
these
least let
are
them
your
know.
livelihoods. And
Right.
and I want them to do a role reversal, because at some point they were looking for a job in some time in their life. And how did they feel when they didn't get that call back, or
Yeah.
to not know what the feedback is?
Right.
And the recruiters need to stay in touch with their candidates at all times and just be honest. Play
Yeah.
straight game. Let people know, yeah, this isn't going to work out. So this way they can mentally move on to the next
Yeah.
possible position. There's nothing I take more seriously than people's livelihoods.
I've had several companies, they would email me back after I had submitted my resume and said, there have been a lot of good candidates but at this time, we're going to move on without you. At least they gave me that respect to let me know that they're not going to leave me hanging.
That's right. And then you can let the job, that dream job that you had your heart set on, you can let it out of your heart, and you can mentally move on to the next position that you're going to apply for. Rather than hoping and praying that that one job is going to come through.
Yeah. And that's why don't limit yourself just to one company that you're applying for. Apply for with other companies that have the same positions, because you're bound to get in with one of those companies.
That's right. That's why I teach people how to set themselves up properly. So this way they do generate the calls. We want to get people on the phone. We want to get the companies on the phone. I thank you so much for this. Is there any last advice you have for viewers to protect themselves?
If your ID or identity has been stolen, get in contact with ITRC.
And I will put the website and the contact information with this video, so this way everyone can see this.
They are a service to help people with identity theft. Even if you think your ID has been stolen, they will advise you on the best steps to take to try to protect yourself or to mitigate the impact. Thank you. ITRC is a nationwide company.
Fantastic. I will add the contact information for that. Thank you so much. You are so brave and so kind to be sharing your story to protect others.
Thank you.
This is ILENE REIN from Pounding Pavement 101. If anyone else is watching this, please contact me so this way I can let your stories be told. Because again, I want to protect all job seekers. These are people's livelihoods. There's nothing I'd take more serious.